Very often when we get stuck in thought patterns, they're negative ones. We tend to focus on worst case scenarios for two reasons. Our subconscious likes to keep us safe, so it does all it can to keep us where we are so we don't move forward, or it gives us the worst case scenario so we won't be disappointed when things don't work out the way we hoped. However, very often things don't work out as the worst case scenario. In fact, they work out much better than we can ever have imagined. So thinking these negative thoughts is not helpful, and it just makes us feel miserable. We lose hope, we give up, and we sabotage the very things when they were really close to coming into fruition. So have you ever noticed that these negative thoughts spiral down? We think one thought, and then we think another one, and then we think one that's worse than that, and then one that's worse than that, until we just feel dreadful. For example, you've been on a date and it was disappointing. So instead of reflecting on it and doing EAM on it, you start thinking, what if he doesn't come along? What if this has all been a waste of time? What if I never meet anyone? What if I end up spending my whole life alone? Do you get the picture? Yeah? Doesn't feel great, does it? Now, what if you could think of positive thoughts and then spiral them up instead of down? So Esther Hicks refers to this as, wouldn't it be lovely if process? And I know it as the what would happen if up thinking. So instead of thinking worst case scenarios, you think best case scenarios instead. For example, what would happen if this date is teaching me exactly what I need to know for the next one to come along to be amazing? What would happen if the next date is a stepping stone to attracting true love? What would happen if I'm really close to meeting him? What would happen if I only have to go on a few more dates until he's here? What would happen if, and then it keeps spiraling up and up and up until you feel better? Do you feel the energy is different to that when you're spiraling up and spiraling down? It feels more expansive, doesn't it? More full of hope. So this is a simple technique that you can use anywhere, especially if it's not appropriate to do a technique such as EAM, and you can instantly think yourself feeling better. Now, of course, because you know EAM, when you have appropriate time, you could use the negative spiral thoughts to your advantage and get really clear on what is the thought behind the thought to get to the core belief. The thing that is really scaring you about not getting what you want. So, for example, when you notice a thought, what if it doesn't come along? And then you notice you're thinking, then I might not meet anyone. And then keep spiraling it down. What's worse than that? I may end up old and alone. And then you find your scariest, biggest belief, which is at the core of all of them. So then you can clear that belief, that real core one, and then just check in with the others to see whether you've still got the others after you've cleared that one. Then when you've cleared it, you can use the up thinking spiral to get some nice juicy statements for your step 5. So what would happen if it's even better than I can ever imagined? What would happen if the relationship feels expansive, loving and supportive? And then just keep putting those in, and then you can do a massive step 5 using all of your what would happen if up thinking. So this exercise is in the workbook, and enjoy. And also remember to use the technique when you're about in your daily life and you don't have a chance to do any sort of formal techniques like EAM. So just think yourself into a better thinking feeling.